Well, that's a lot of beef and testosterone going right there, led by Seth Olale on Fun with Fans. Now, let's ship out a bit and head to the United States, where there is one athlete, and his name is Moninda Marube. And before we talk to him, he's done a promo or a trailer on what he's all about as far as his cause for fighting human trafficking is concerned. Moninda Marube is actually based in the United States and is anticipating to run a project that will involve fighting for human trafficking, and he'll be telling us probably if he is actually a victim of this so-called human trafficking in the United States. Now, just going back to what we had earlier there with Seth Olale, it's Fun with Fans, and you can get involved. So if you have a dispute, a sports dispute, and you like to settle it like sports people do, well, give us a shout and we can contact you and have you and your friends sort out the Fun with Fans, as in settling it like sports people do, as I was saying earlier, Moninda Marube and his trailer.
A marathon is a long run. Some take it slow. Some are able to take it much faster. Moninda is a Kenyan runner who didn't always run, and whose story is full of roadblocks. Today's marathon will take him past some of the most affluent communities in the state, million-dollar homes. For a man who has nothing, this is quite a contrast. So when he got to the US, he had no idea he would become a victim of human trafficking. He was desperate. He had been cheated and lied to. They took his passport and documentation papers. Most people have no idea that elite athletes are being trafficked here, in our neighborhoods, at our events. Moninda is safe now, thanks to a man named Dan. Dan met him and took him home to live with his family, and is coaching him, training him beyond running, training him to live out a different story than what may have been.
Marathon, Moninda Marube of Auburn, taking first place in the 23rd annual Maine Marathon. Congratulations. Moninda Marube of Auburn.
Moninda is going to do great things. Moninda has a new challenge ahead. This time, it's one he made for himself. In the spring of 2015, Moninda will set out on a 3,000-mile journey from Maine to California in his running shoes. He will need to run 30 miles a day for 5 months. He'll do this to start a movement that will end the trafficking of elite athletes. When he gets to California, he'll race in the Santa Barbara Marathon, where he holds the course record. Moninda is no longer running away in fear. He's running forward for others so they don't have to be afraid.
And now, of course, Moninda Marube runs into our studio via Skype all the way from the United States. Moninda Marube, welcome to Top Sport this afternoon here in Kenya. I wonder what time it is where you are at this particular moment, Moninda.
Right now, it's 8:22 a.m.
Wow, it's an early morning for you this Saturday. And it's quite the story there. We've watched about your journey all the way to the United States. But from your own words, maybe you can tell us what really happened, how you left Kenya all the way to the United States.
Watson, thank you first for giving me this opportunity to be live on air and be able to share my story. My story is quite long. If I started to narrate it from now, probably I'll be able to finish tomorrow. But I'm going to say a little bit about where it all started. it started off from after post-election violence. That's when my journey started, and then I looked for a way. I went to the US. That's after failing from Australia, where I had gone to do a marathon. So after coming to the US, that was the year 2010. I got an invite to go and do a marathon called Little Rock. Immediately after I got here, I did the marathon, and I won. So that's when I think everything started going wrong. For the first thing, I never got paid, but later I was told that the rest did not have money and was not probably offering monetary awards that time. So I changed camps and I went to Minnesota. That's where I started living with an agent there, and I was together with a number of athletes from Kenya. We were about between 7 and 8 runners in that house. So things were not so good there. We could go do races for a number of times, and you win some, but you don't see anything, no rewards, no nothing. At the end of the day, what you're getting on your table is bills and bills and bills and bills, and you're expected to pay these bills. One funny thing that happened when I was in Minnesota is, I mean, just like as you know, Watson, this is the most unfortunate part, if I could put it. The number of runners who we have from Kenya, if I could put it, 70% are not literate. 70% are totally illiterate. They are misinformed. They are not informed. They do not know what's happening around them. And this is where most of the agents usually capitalize on and try to manipulate and use them. And especially when you know you are in a new place, in a new environment, a new country, a foreign place, you are living in somebody's house, you have no contact to the outside world, and the only contact you have probably is the person who is hosting you. So it becomes a little bit difficult for you to be able to move around, to make decisions, to do whatever you want to do, because you're feeling like you are in captivity.
Moninda, I'll cut you short.
Okay.
Let me cut you short, and maybe you can tell us, of course, the host you're talking about, is he a Kenyan or is he an American that actually hosted you and was making money out of your sweat?
Well, he's a Kenyan American, if I could put it that way. But I mean, I couldn't be able to name him, but he's a Kenyan American.
And how many athletes do you say you are living with in Minnesota?
At one time, we could be living between 6 and 8 athletes in rather small house, I could put it. And we could all bunch together and go outside and do races.
But there was a turnaround for you in your life, and tell us about the turnaround and how many races now you've been involved in.
Well, after making a turnaround of my life from that house, because when I refused to sign the contract that had been placed on my table, I started mobilizing other athletes, but unfortunately, there is nobody who could listen to me because they were all feeling like, you know, they owe to this guy all their lives. So I moved out, and my turnaround came when I went to California. And so, you know, this guy kept my passport, and all my documents actually expired. So I became an illegal immigrant in this country. But I kept on soldiering on, and I went to Santa Barbara International Marathon, and I did the race, which I won. And that is after going through channels, hard channels, because at some point I was arrested by the Border Patrol officers who actually told me that I'm an illegal immigrant and I did not deserve to be in America. So I told them the only thing that you can be able to get me out of America right now is if you gave me that gun I swallow. You know, that is at the point where I was at that particular time. But despite that, with little or less training, I went on to win the marathon, and that was the turning point of my life. Now, I changed places because then I had moved to Texas. So I moved to Maine, courtesy of the logistics director of Santa Barbara International Marathon, who currently I hold on like a dear dad to me, and a mentor and a coach and everything you can name.
Finally, tell us about this challenge that you're about to take on, running from Maine, is it, to California? And what kind of distance? How will you compare that distance here in Kenya for maybe some of the viewers to see how far that distance is?
Well, if I could put it, I think that is about. It can be from Nairobi to South Africa, if I could put it that way, and it's a total of about 5,200 and or more kilometers.
Wow!
And it's a journey that takes me through all the police departments across the country, and I'm so glad to inform that ever since I came out fighting this war of human trafficking, the Homeland Security of America, the FBI, and the police departments have been so much behind me, and they're in support of the cause. And however, there are a number of Kenyan runners who are right now kept in places they can't come out. Their visas have expired. They cannot come out and express their feelings on what they're going through. But I'm here to tell them, hey, come out and give me your story, and I can pass it out. And there's nobody who's going to touch you. Nobody is going to repatriate you back to Kenya, because if you are here legitimately and you've not committed any crime, your story needs to be heard.
Indeed, Moninda Marube, thank you very much for talking to Top Sport and our viewers all the way from the United States. And we wish you all the best in that challenge. And we'll be keeping an eye when you start the challenge. And of course, we'll be giving updates on how far you have been running. And just to put it right is that you will be running from Maine to California, which you say is about 5,000 kilometers. And we'll be keeping an eye on that, and that is quite a cause there. You're fighting human trafficking, which actually transcends across all sports disciplines. We've seen athletes go to Europe for major competition and decide to stay on and end up living in abject poverty, and some of them end up even dying in the diaspora. Thank you very much, Moninda, and wish you all the best in your conquest. Now, as we go to the break right now on Top Sport, let's take a look at this sumo wrestler.